What song do you reckon just really made you think, I belong here, I've got something to really offer?
Well, I never felt like that until later on, as we were talking before. I knew I could sing a bit, but I didn't class myself as a singer. So The Real Thing was the thing that turned the corner because it was so unusual. And I remember saying to Ian Meldrum, because we'd recorded a couple of songs and they were in the realms of John Farnham at the time, Ronnie Burns and all that sort of. And I remember saying to Ian Meldrum, I said, I don't want to do this style. I said, these songs we've recorded, John could record, Ronnie Burns could record, Norm Rowe could record. I want to do something that none of them would even consider recording. And Molly, to his credit, said, you're right, you know. You're right. He said, these songs are good, but they're not what we want. And when I was at Channel 10 one day, just I'd done the show because our band had broken up. And I went on and mimed the band's record. And John Young was sitting on the panel and he saw the reaction that I got from the audience and rushed backstage to meet me and said, would you be interested in one of my songs? And I said, sure, play them. And he played 4 songs and Ian and myself were listening and said, yeah, that's a nice song, but we want something different. Have you got anything different? And he said, no, not really. He said, oh, I wrote this song 2 days ago. He said, but it's a band song. It's not a song for someone like you. We said, play it. And he played it. We both looked at each other and said, that's it. You kidding? That's it, John. And he said, what? You can't do that, a solo artist. I said, that's what we want. And Ian was the same.
That would have been a massive ride, mate, because that song, that really catapulted you to being a household name. Like,
yeah, it did. Yeah.
And was it sort of, Russ, like a slow move, or was like you could go down and get a loaf of bread in the middle of any city and no one really knew who you were to, that's the guy that sings The Real Thing? Was it like that?
We, the record company hated it, thought it was the biggest load of rubbish they'd ever heard and refused to release it.
Yeah.
They said we might release it in Melbourne just to make our money back. So Molly and I jumped in the car and drove up to Sydney and went to see all the radio programmers and said, this is a song we've recorded, EMI hate it. What do you think? And they've gone, are you serious? We'll play it. So we had to get signatures from all the radio stations and then go to EMI and say, they're going to play it.
No, like a
so
petition.
They released it reluctantly. And because all the radio stations felt they were involved, didn't just sneak it onto the playlists. They went, bang, high rotation #1.
Oh, it was incredible.
So it just went boom, out of nowhere.
We've hit stardom now. Was it only in Australia really, like at the start, or worldwide, like international?
It worked in 4 states in America. It was going really well, but unfortunately it was on a label called Diamond, which was an independent label. And at that stage, the majors were trying to squash the independents and they weren't distributing. So they had to virtually distribute themselves. We couldn't get distribution across America. Ian wanted to go to England, so we went to England, but I always thought we should have gone to America. Went to England and nothing really happened in England. And by the time we thought about going to America, it was too late.
We were talking before and we were talking about old Kakadu, great mate of yours, and in later life he's become a really close friend of our family and that we'd love him to bits. But you were saying his piano track on The Real Thing, wasn't it?
His whole band, without that band, the record wouldn't have been as good as it was.
Yeah.
Brian was instrumental he played all the spooky Hammond organ.
Yeah.
It gives us this dance. It was like a dance record before its time because the drummer played almost one of those acid had that feel.
Yeah.
And it really had this magical feel. And the bass player, Don Moody, who'd written so many songs with Brian, it just gelled. And Brian was incredible because Brian, at the end of it, it was supposed to be only 3.5 minutes. Molly said, all right, we'll fade it there, but let them play because they were playing in the studio and the drummer went into double time and the engineer went to stop it. And he said, no, let them have some fun. And they played and Ian said, don't worry about it, we'll fade it. He rings me later that night. I'm going to make this record 6 minutes long.
That's where the magic started.
No one will play it.
Yeah.
He said, no, I'll put things at the end. I said, but what are you going to put at the end? It's just a big, he said, I'll put sound effects. I said, you can't put sound effects for 3 minutes. He said, trust me, it'll work. And things he put in there, one of them is a mad talking like, and the user of the product shall abuse the product. At the end of it, that's Brian.
Is it really?
Because he said to Brian, you're funny. Go into the studio and do something funny. He said, what do you mean? What am I going to do that's funny? And he picked up a TAC box. And he said, read the back of that. And Brian's reading the back, the warranty on the box. Piano break. That was an absolute fluke.
Really?
Yeah, we were listening to all the end and all the sound effects was going on. And you know how in the old days on the desks they had a mute button on tracks? Yep. And the engineer wanted to hear what the piano sounded like. So he had all the tracks up on his fingers and for some unknown reason he punched it right on that beat. And there was the hi-hat with Brian playing dang, get that, dang,
that's how that happened.
And we went, what the? And everyone went, that's incredible. We've got to keep it in, yeah. So some things were fortuitous.